My name is Rachael Hoyle. I graduated as a Whitworth Scholar in 2013. I'm currently employed by BAE Systems, working in a project management role in our international sales organisation.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got onto the scholarship and landed up getting your medal?
Yes, so I did an engineering apprenticeship at BAE Systems and was really keen, whilst that gave me a really good foundation in the academic and vocational side and the core skill set. I was keen to get a greater knowledge of the theory, and the company sponsored me through into an engineering degree, and it was through Manchester Metropolitan University that we found out as a year group about the scholarship and the values behind the fact that we were looking at a vocational route into academic progression and further education really attracted me to the scholarship.
And have you noticed the benefits of it? Has it had an impact on your life?
Yes, massively. I mean, when I started an apprenticeship, I would never have anticipated getting involved in the IMechE and the grandeur of of occasions that we get involved with through the Whitworth Scholarship. And it certainly opened my eyes to a world beyond the northwest of England.
And to those people who may not be familiar with the scholarship, what makes it unique? What makes it special in your opinion?
I think you've got a group of people from a wide variety of industry and pan sectors, all with the same set of core values around engineering and progression of the industry and the development of others through practical and vocational activities. Many
people believe that you go to school, get your degree, get out there and work. So Joseph had a different route. You did too. The Whitworth Scholars also have different routes. Do you think that he was onto something in terms of finding that magic that happens when you have practical experience and theoretical experience?
Yes, I think he was perhaps a forerunner in that thought process. It was obviously either the route was you go to work or you progress through further education. The merge of the two types of learning gives a different opportunity and a different output that adds diversity to the industry. What's
the benefits of having people come through those apprenticeships and then into actual work and academia?
I think having an understanding of the practicalities of how engineering works to then be able to apply the theory in an academic approach gives a different perspective on problem solving, and diversifying how we solve problems can only give us better solutions in the long run.
You've worked on obviously different projects. You've read up about Sir Joseph and his life. What about him inspired you, and does it still inspire you in the work that you do today?
So I find Sir Joseph's history hugely inspiring. So the fact that he set out as an engineer but developed as a person to become an innovator, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, he used that core skill set to make the world a better place, both from a technological sense and also from a better place for people following in a similar career route to him in the future.
And what do you think his greatest legacy is?
I would have to say the scholarship. The fact that it's still going on today, 150 years after that first set out, and the fact that we meet on a regular basis, and it's still his legacy that brings this pan-engineering sector together.
And in terms of lessons that we could draw, I suppose lessons that echo across the ages, if we look at his life and what he achieved, what do you think people can take away from that?
You can't. So I think you may read up and think he was quite he was quite structured in the way he approached things, but actually it was all for a greater benefit. And Howard would certainly say he was quite an abrupt and a direct character, but his intentions were always good, and he always had the greater benefit of the industry and others at the heart of that.
So if you look at that industry, the engineering industry, a century and a half later, what do you think are the kind of the most urgent challenges that are out there at the moment for engineers of today?
I think the industry has obviously changed so much over that period of time, and we're now and you get a different type of engineering challenge around a more global issue. But I think you could still go back to the core principles that you have a core set of engineering skill sets, and how do you use that to solve an engineering problem. So if you look at Sir Joseph's tool making background, and he expanded that to standardise the industry, was a big progressive step forward. And how do we as engineers in this day and age use what we learn as apprentices and higher education, further education students to tackle some of those global challenges that we face.
So the Society is writing a letter to 10 Downing Street to mark the 150 years since Sir Joseph wrote his letter. If you were writing the letter and you were talking directly to government about engineering today in the UK and across the world, what do you think are some of the main thoughts that you'd include in a letter like that?
That's a good one. So I think if we consider the significance of engineering and how it brings science and technology to life, and how we tackle real life problems through engineering, I think it's important that we highlight the role the engineering sector and those core STEM skills have to play in that, and we should be encouraging diversity in order to approach some of these problems differently. So if we go back to core skills, how do we take a more holistic view of some of the challenges rather than funneling into specific industries? So how do we transfer learning across sectors and diversify the way we solve problems?
And you picked up on diversity. What do you think of it as the industry stands at the moment? Do you think there have been significant steps taken to try and get more diversity, to try and bring all kinds of people into engineering?
Yes, I think we make step forwards. I think it's obviously something that is on that there's a lot of focus on within the industry, particularly from encouraging more females into the engineering industry. And I think the perception of engineering is changing. It's becoming more about an intellectual challenge than perhaps the traditional mindset that we might have had around it being quite a dirty industry. But I see that looking at role models and changing that perception is a good way to sort of progress some of that.
So if you were standing in front of a classroom talking to youngsters who may be looking at careers in engineering, what would you say to them? I
think science and maths is so important. You may sit there and think, well, how will I ever use that? But actually challenging business processes, how we tackle big scientific problems, engineering problems, all comes back to some of those core principles, and the logic that you will go through in those subjects helps with application to those kind of processes. So they're more valuable than you might think.
And if Sir Joseph were to magically appear on the streets of London today, what do you think he'd make of the world as it is now, and of engineering?
I would hope that he would be overwhelmed by how much the world's progressed in that time. And we see so many amazing things. It's civil engineering, mechanical engineering, overcoming some of the environmental issues that we have across the sector. I would hope that he would be impressed, but we can always do better at some of these things.
And finally, just any parting words of wisdom to people who are considering the scholarship but maybe a little unsure about it?
I think it's a great opportunity. I think if it brings a different type of person into our industry, and going back to the diversity point, how we solve problems, it is good to do that. And it's what you make of it. So there's plenty of opportunity. There's a great bunch of people sat behind the Whitworth Society, and you get out of it what you put into it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.